The Big Bang was noiseless. Everything in the universe expanded uniformly, so nothing came into contact with anything. No contact, no medium, no sound waves. For the real Big Bang, you should have heard the eruption of Mountain Krakatoa in 1883. It was so loud that the acoustic pressure waves circled the globe almost 4 times, causing a tsunami as high as the Statue of Liberty. It was so massive that the sound of 180 decibels was heard 5,000 kilometers away. It's like if I scream in LA and you hear me in New York. The sky darkened worldwide for months, producing spectacular red sunsets that are believed to be the inspiration for Munch's famous painting The Scream. If the man in the picture would stand anywhere near the volcano, closing his ears wouldn't save him or his eardrums. It might have helped him if he was somewhere near La Bretonne Flats in Ottawa on July 15th, where the band Kiss, during their live performance, reached up to 136 decibels, which is approximately the threshold of pain. Eventually, the police came and forced them nicely to turn the volume down. Today, we will find out what happens when you break the sound barrier, why food on airplanes is not tasty, who has the loudest penis, why Curiosity on Mars has a better relationship with NASA than whales with each other, how Second World War officer accidentally broke the sound barrier, and what has the shrimp to do with all of this. Look at this green plane. And now at the yellow rectangle. What do you see? You probably think, yeah, it's just a rectangle. Why are they showing this to me? And what has it to do with sound? Some of you might even recheck the name of the video to be sure that the topic is indeed the sound. Let me explain. If you saw a shape and color, then you, as well as I, are in the 98% of the population. But if you felt the taste or smell or even heard it and saw a movement, either you do drugs, or I have to congratulate you, you have a very rare condition called synesthesia. It's a neurological condition in which one of the 5 senses becomes cross-wired with another. Wassily Kandinsky, a famous painter, after attending a performance of Richard Wagner's opera Lohengrin, was so moved that at the age 30 he abandoned his law career to study arts. He later described the life-changing experience. I saw all my colors in spirit before my eyes. Wild, almost crazy lines were sketched in front of me. I don't think that at that time his mother approved his decision, but she didn't know that Wassily had a very rare type of synesthesia, chromesthesia. The type of sound-to-color synesthesia Kandinsky had would allow him to hear his paintings, with each color and shape bearing an intrinsic sound, volume, tone, and movement. For example, seeing the yellow color, he also was hearing high trumpet notes. Shades of blue, he was hearing cello, bass, and deep solemn blue, an organ. Extraordinary, isn't it? This condition, of course, was the basis of all his works, which are painted based on notes and music scales. However, unless we have synesthesia, we are not able to hear his paintings. Luckily, Google Arts and Culture created Sounds Like Kandinsky, an interactive platform that lets you go beyond imagination. You can hear what Kandinsky might have heard as he looked at the color. Sometimes, and I say sometimes, it is difficult to live on this planet with extraordinary abilities. Imagine Kandinsky's wife asking her husband which color shoes go well with this dress, and all he can see is... On the other hand, you have to have superpowers to survive in this world. Take the lesser water boatman, a small aquatic insect that uses its superpower to attract females. This power is that it rubs its penis on its abdomen and creates a sound that can reach up to 99.2 decibels, comparable to the passing of a freight train. In fact, it holds a spot in the Guinness Book of Records as having the loudest penis. Well, from the loudest penis to the biggest penis. In 1989, the US military recorded sound that was identified as a blue whale by the nature of its calls. However, this particular blue whale, named 52 Blue, had a uniquely high-pitched voice with fundamental notes at the 52 Hz. Unlike other whales who communicate at frequencies between 10 to 39 Hz, 52 Blue cannot be heard by its peers. As a result, he is doomed to live a life of loneliness. Ordinary blue whales can hear each other from the distance of 1500 kilometers. It takes almost 30 minutes for sound to travel this distance underwater. To put this into perspective for you, Houston communicates with Curiosity rover with a delay of 7 to 22 minutes, depending on the distance between Earth and Mars. However, unlike whales, we use radio waves to send signals to Mars since there is no sound in space. But why? Easy answer is because there is no air in space. But I don't think you're here for the easy answers. So first of all, we have to understand what sound is. Sound is a form of energy that travels through waves of pressure in the air, water, or other materials. These waves are created by vibrations, or rapid back and forth movements of objects such as vocal cords, guitar strings, or a lesser boatman's penis. When these vibrations occur, they cause molecules in the surrounding air to compress and expand, producing sound waves that propagate through the mediums. When you clap, for instance, the air between your palms is displaced, and it creates a sound wave. The increased pressure forces the air molecules to spread in all directions at the speed of sound. The speed of sound in the air is approximately 340 meters per second. It depends on the medium through which it travels. It is important to know that the speed of sound is not directly related to the volume or loudness of the sound. Instead, we use decibels to measure the loudness of the sound. For instance, a normal conversation is around 60 decibels, while a motorcycle might produce a sound of 100 to 110 decibels, and a jet taking off can generate up to 140. Sounds above 160 decibels can potentially cause serious injuries, such as ruptured eardrums or some other type of hearing damage. Exposure to sound of 200 decibels or higher is considered extremely dangerous and can be lethal. Let's go back to the sea for a moment. Meet tiger pistol shrimp. 5 centimeter Bucky Barnes of shrimps kills his prey not with venom or powerful shell pad, but with sound. His shell pad, by closing at extreme speed, expels an air bubble at more than 100 kilometers per hour, which collapsing can make sound up to 218 decibels and temperature of up to 4,800 Celsius, almost as hot as the surface of the sun. Well, if this didn't blow your mind, just wait a bit. It was recently discovered that plants also make noises when they're struggling. Healthy plants make less than 1 sound per hour, while cut tomato and tobacco plants make around 15 to 25. However, humans aren't able to hear this sound since they occur at a very high frequencies. But what is frequency, you might ask? It's measurement of how fast something is moving back and forth, similar to a swing, and it's measured in hertz. The faster moves are, the higher the pitch of the sound is. Humans can hear sound waves with frequencies ranging from 20 to 20,000 Hz, known as the human hearing range. If you produce high-pitched note at the resonant frequency of a glass, you can potentially break it. But if you scream constantly for 8 hours, 7 months and 6 days, you'll produce enough sound energy to heat your cup of coffee. And if you heat it up to perfection, don't drink it on the airplane. A study showed that background noise can have a negative impact on the taste perception. So salt is not salty enough, and sweets are not sweet. This can explain why airlines may have a poor reputation in this area. So it is important to consider the noise level in the environment where it comes to enjoying food. Noise is generally defined as an unwanted or unpleasant sound that is perceived by the human ear. Not only it affects your appetite, but also your quality of life, increases stress, and causing hearing loss. Interestingly, it is still affecting you when you're asleep. As your ears pick up the sound, it is your brain chooses to ignore it. Interestingly, the first known noise ordinance was passed by the Greek province of Sybaris in 6th century BC. Tinsmiths and roosters were required to live outside the town limits. And another thing to be thankful for the next Thanksgiving Day is that the space is on mute, or else this would be our day. Even the noise-cancelling headsets wouldn't save us. By the way, it dates back to 1933, when a German physicist proposed to silence sound waves by generating waves of an exact opposite orientation, and the same principle is used now. There's a big philosophical question, so-called the problem of perception. It raises the question of whether we can truly know that something exists, if we cannot perceive it truly, with our senses or some other means. For example, if someone screams, without any evidence we cannot know for sure that someone has screamed if there is no one to hear it. So we cannot understand what is sound without understanding our perception of it. The outer ear is the part you can see on the outside of your head. It's the part that collects sound waves from around you and directs them into your ear. The middle ear is a small space behind your eardrum. When sound waves reach the eardrum, they make it vibrate, and these vibrations move 3 tiny bones in the middle ear called the hammer, anvil, and stirrup. The inner ear is a snail-shaped structure that's filled with liquid and tiny hair cells. When 3, the body's smallest bones, move, they create waves in the liquid in the inner ear. These waves cause the hair to move, and this movement creates electrical signals that are sent to the brain through the auditory nerve. The brain then takes these electrical signals and turns them into the sound we hear. With bone conduction hearing, the sound waves is transmitted through the bones of the skull directly to the inner ear, bypassing the outer and middle ear. This is what gives us a different perception of our own voice. That's why other people hear our voice differently. The sound that we hear internally is more resonant and lower in pitch, while the sound that others hear is more influenced by the environment and the characteristics of the listener's ear. Have you seen the movie Ray about Ray Charles? Or if you're old school like we are, The Blind Fury? Scientists have lately proved that humans use echolocation in their daily lives. Clearly, not at the same level as some animals like bats and dolphins or some really good lawyers, but some individuals who are blind or have visual impairments have developed a form of echolocation to navigate their environments. The basic principle of echolocation is that the person emits a sound of a clicking noise and listens for the echo of that sound bouncing back from the object in the environment. Yes, just like clickers from The Last of Us. By the way, in 2014, acoustic scientist Trevor Cox shattered the world record for longest ever echo. He recorded the sound of a gunshot echo in an oil tank. It lasted a full 75 seconds. One more interesting echo fact: if you stand in front of Al Castillo Pyramid in Chichen Itza and clap, it will produce an echo that sounds like a chirping bird. But if you accidentally found yourself standing near the Eiffel Tower during World War I and heard birds, don't try to find the clapping man, run. Parrots were kept on the Eiffel Tower because of their remarkable sense of hearing. When they heard aircraft, they warned everyone of an approaching danger, long before any human ear would hear it. Development from birds to locate an airplane and an airplane that broke the sound barrier took less time than you think. In April 1944, Mayor Anthony Martindale flew a Spitfire Mark 11 with a faulty propeller, causing it to detach mid-flight. The plane went into a dive at speed over 1,000 km per hour, but Martindale managed to regain control and land safely. The incident led to discovery of supersonic airflow and the development of swept-wing design used in supersonic aircraft. After that, development of airplanes that could break the sound barrier accelerated, starting with the first ever supersonic Bell X-1 in 1946, following the first Concorde commercial flight at January 21, 1976. Unfortunately, it was too expensive. So now from Paris to New York, we have to fly 8 to 9 hours, but we could fly in 3. But what does it mean to break the sound barrier? Is there a sound when you break it? And are airplanes the first human creation that broke it? Well, breaking the sound barrier means going faster than the speed of sound. We also have a unit of measurement called Mach to describe the speed of an object relative to the speed of the sound in the medium. For example, if an airplane is traveling Mach 1, it is traveling at the speed of sound. Mach 2 means twice the speed of the sound, and so on. When an airplane goes that fast, it makes a loud noise that sounds like a big boom, kind of like thunder. So there is law that restricts exceeding the speed of sound over the land. That's because the airplane is pushing through the air so fast that it creates shock waves that cause the loud noise. Funny thing is that the pilot cannot hear that, as he travels faster than that sound. But the first time humans broke the sound barrier was long before airplanes. Now this will leave a shockwave. It was as early as 10,000 BC, and it is still in use today. Can you guess what it is? Write your ideas in the comments. The correct answer will be at the end of the video. Now look at this man. His name is Felix Baumgartner. He is a former Austrian skydiver and base jumper. He is best known for his record-breaking freefall jump in 2012. He jumped from a helium balloon in a stratosphere at an altitude of 39 kilometers and broke the sound barrier, reaching a top speed of 1,357 kilometers per hour. Well, if the falling Austrian didn't amaze you, maybe Australian scientists will. They found out that many species of fish engage in a mass chorus with their fellow fish at dawn and dusk, much like the birds do. They were able to identify 7 distinct choruses of fish, each with their own unique sounds, including the overlapping peckhorn calls of the black jewelfish and the repetitive sounds of the chorusing fatfish. Well, maybe the fish chorus will take the place on the whale song on the next golden record. From the silence of the Big Bang to the loudest roar of a volcano eruption, sounds can take many forms and shapes. It's fascinating to think about how something as simple as a vibration can create the rich and varied soundscape that surrounds us. And who knows, maybe there are even more hidden sounds out there waiting to be discovered. As we promised, the first human invention that broke the sound barrier was the whip. That's where the special sound comes from. Whoopa! Thank you for your time. Stay tuned. See you in the next video.